Let's make some pets today, shall we? Alright, so right here is a TentaPet, and it is probably one of the greatest things I've created. And they are extremely versatile. So currently this TentaPet has a tentacle with freezing on it. And so the fact that it can pretty much one-shot anything and can be guided by our mouse is pretty cool. So you can remove a boomerang from this wand and then it won't hover around you, but it with boomerang it gives it a more like pet like feel to it. Obviously, if you are going to do this, you probably want to use a safer spell other than Pinpoint of Light, because it is hurting quite a bit with this heavy damage on it. So let's do that right now. Let's throw a Spark Bolt and remove this and throw this up here. And to make sure that we don't one-shot the test dummy, I'm also going to remove this freeze charge on the tentacle. Something that you have to learn, for every single spell, there's going to be a different reaction on how it takes to this build. So with this one, obviously if we fire it into the ground, I can't control it anymore. So we're going to fire this one up. There we go. It got yeeted because of the tentacle, and since this one has a decreasing lifetime and heavy shot on it, it's a lot harder to control. With Pinpoint Light, it doesn't have a decrease in speed or gravity, so it's really good to use. Same with the Chain Bolt. So if we wanted to do Chain Bolt, we can do that one real quick. And then this one's safe to us. It can't hurt us. It can also travel through the ground, and you can whip stuff with the tentacle. So it's pretty neat. I'm kind of sad that they removed the whole Chain Bolt interaction and stuff, but I mean, we can find a different use for the Chain Bolt. Hopefully they don't patch this one, because that would be very rude. But so the way that this build works is we're making the spell into the wisp itself. So this timer is sending out this tentacle, and this tentacle right here is getting 100 tentacles made on top of it. And so this one is getting a lot of extra lifetime from the 100 tentacles being spawned on it. And that's why this one lasts so long. And this can't go away until this goes away. If we want to remove the tentacle, then all these are being spawned on the giant magic missile, and so this is actually going to last the longest. So I'll show off both, one with the tentacle and then one without. Okay, so this one has the tentacle, and then if we remove the tentacle, it'll still have an increased lifetime because the tentacles are being applied to the magic missile instead. So based on your preference, they are called TentaPets. So I mean, you can't really have one without the tentacle. And like I said, some of them will interact differently. If you threw a divide by 10 on here, it would be a little bit easier to control, but then the speed might be a little bit jankety. So yeah, it all depends on preference. This is pretty much the very basic of the build, but I'll show off some of the more extravagant ones, and we'll get them made. Here's a little lightning ball. And we can boop it. Oh! If the tentacle grabs it, it's going to be flung wherever it wants to go. And with this one, if we change the glimmer on it, it actually looks pretty neat. There we go. Like I said, you have to learn what spell does what and then find out how you can control it to the best of your abilities. Some spells you have to fire into the ground, some spells you just have to fire up in the air so that they don't get stuck. But yeah, I think this one looks pretty fantastic. And we'll send it over to the test dummy real quick and boop it. Okay. And then let's make a concentrated light. All right. And then this one, same thing. With concentrated light, I do have heavy shot to make it travel a little bit slower, but concentrated light is one of the spells that does not have any, like, it's not affected by gravity, it's not affected by slower speeds and stuff. So it'll keep flying at the same consistent speed, and it's really nice. It's really soothing to be able to control them at like a consistent pace. And you can make multiple of them at the same time. I do have spells to acid on this wand, so it would destroy this, but yeah, it's pretty neat. I guess we'll do Omega Saw Blade. Something else that I forgot to mention on this wand, the Divide by 3 and the wand refresh are to make sure that the Divide by 10s don't grab any extra spells and loop around. This can be any divide. I have a Divide by 2 down here, but it's just to make sure that there's no complications on the wand. I don't know why this interaction needs to be on here. If it's not on there, you should still be able to make everything on the wand, but it might have a different outcome. I'm pretty sure that's a bug that's going to be fixed, but for now, I just throw this on there to make sure that it doesn't have any complications. But let's make a Omega Saw Blade TentaPet. Okay. So you can't see it because we have a glimmer on it. It looks pretty harmless, but I can assure you it is anything but harmless. Yeah, and also Omega has homing on it, or sorry, boomerang on it. So that's why it's kind of drifting towards us, even though we have like guided aiming. So it's pretty cool. You can eat through stuff with it, and if we were to throw an extra like a Divide by 10 or Divide by 4 on the guiding right here, aiming arc, that's what it's actually called, then we'd be able to control it a little bit better. But for now, it's pretty neat. And like I said, it will hurt you a lot if it touches you. I will... Yeah, I'm pretty sure that would murder you if you're not having a God run. And... likewise, it'll murder enemies, so it's pretty neat. However, if you were interested in murdering enemies, I would go with a freezing tentacle. So what we'll do is we'll throw freezing on here, and you know what? We'll also throw a ground of sand on this tentacle. So this one is going to be the tentacle that lasts the longest. And we want to modify this one, not this one. This one is just to spawn them in, and if you did it with all this extra, it might cause quite a bit of lag. So this one is the one we want to work with. And then we're going to throw a nuke on there, and yeah. So let's get this TentaPet. Okay. Oh, it's a little bit fast when it's not in the ground, but you can see it's dragging the tentacle around that's causing ground to sand and freezing. If that tentacle was to hit anything, then the nuke was very rude and decided to steal our stuff. So we're actually going to use light again. Pinpoint light is probably the best one to use, especially with this setup right here. So we'll get that. Okay. And then, like I said, the freezing tentacle will pretty much one-shot everything. There we go. You do have to hit the tip of the tentacle on it. Actually, it didn't one-shot it. It did half health or... Oh, maybe it's dead. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, you did see that it was a bunch of damage. Oh, it just had like 1 HP or something. And the only problem with Pinpoint Light is it has a piercing on it as well. So if the Pinpoint Light hits you, then it will do damage. You can just remove Heavy Shot to make it only do 5 damage. So now when it hits us, it only does like 5 damage. So it's a lot safer than when having, well, 5 damage per tick. It's a lot safer having not Heavy Shot on it. So yeah, but it is also a lot harder to control. So like I said, it comes with getting a feel for what spell you want to make into a TentaPet, but there's so many cool spells. And the last one we'll show off is Luminous Drill. So this one's a bit strange. The thing that you have to use with Luminous Drill is increased lifetime. The reason that we need to use an increased lifetime on this Luminous is the Luminous Drill has a 1 second or like a lifetime of 1 frame. So it will not last long enough to get the properties unless it has this increased lifetime on it. So with this one, it looks like this. A little attack tentacle, laser guided tentacle. It's pretty hard to control because I think Luminous has the properties of falling victim to gravity. So if we point it down and it was able to like drill through stuff, then it would be a little bit more efficient. But yeah, so for now it's one of those that I haven't really mastered on making into something great. But yeah, to elaborate on how simple the build actually is and how complicated this one is making it look to be, something I'm going to do is a Heavy Shot, Drilling Shot, Spark Bolt with timer on 2 divide-by-10s on a Summon Tentacle. So I don't need Drilling Shot, I also don't need Heavy Shot. The reason I have these 2 on it is to make sure that this doesn't like go away instantly. So it looks like this. And that pretty much will last a long minute, however much lifetime 100 tentacles will add to it. So we can carry it around with a coup, and we could throw it at the test dummy if we still had the test dummy. I kind of murdered it, so that's unfortunate for the test dummy. But we don't need these on it. So if I was to fire this up in the air and see if I can catch it, there we go. So as long as this doesn't touch the ground or anything, this is a TentaPet without the tentacle. And of course, we have to get the tentacle on there. And since we did the injustice of not spawning it with tentacles, we're actually going to throw a tentacler on there. So let's get that one. And now we have this majestic TentaPet. So like I said, when it touches the ground, since it doesn't have drilling on there, it's going to disappear. If we threw drilling on there, we can fire it at the ground, which is super neat. Oh, that is the wrong wand. I've made poor decisions, and like I said, since I threw freeze charge on the 100 tentacles, it made quite a bit of snow. So let's fire the correct wand this time. And so now it can touch the ground, and it'll just flail around with Tentacler, and Tentacler should still be safe in 1.0. I hope the devs don't change that either, because I hate trying to update all my information, but For now, Tentacler doesn't do any damage to you, and Tentacle doesn't do damage unless you have piercing on it, so this would be a really, really neat, just basic one. If you also wanted to throw homing on there, then this would just home around and attack stuff with the tentacle, and you could throw freezing on that tentacle. There's a whole bunch that you could do with it. So it is extremely versatile. And then on this last one, or sorry, on this third wand, we have a expanding sphere with the tentacle build, and this one has drilling, piercing, homing, and heavy shot. So this would be a really, really great way to clear stuff, because this would be able to track onto stuff and do a lot of damage. There's not a lot of damage. This area has seen better days, but I believe they were going to remove the cap on damage that expanding sphere has. It doesn't look like they have yet, but if they do, then this would be an amazing attack wand. It'd be really strong because it would home around and do increasing damage and just one-shot your enemies. Right now it does 75 damage per tick, so it's not great, but yeah, I mean, you have 100% guarantee of making it, so that's nice. And if you want to make it travel faster, then you can remove heavy. I think that's actually a smarter bet, because this damage isn't affected by anything. Like I said, they might change that. And now we're going to get into something that's pretty neat, that will have a completely different video on it, but for now we're going to talk about pie rolls. So Pies32 came up with a fantastic way of making designs with orbiting arc, and if you divide orbiting arc, it has different properties on what kind of shape it'll make, and also based off of what spell. So like I was saying, if a spell has decreasing speed and stuff, then it'll cause different stuff to happen. With Pinpoint Light, it doesn't have that that hindrance, so you can continually make this into, like, it'll always have the same like pattern and shape, since it won't decrease in speed. So it'll make something like this, and it is pretty fantastic. I am definitely really excited to show off Pie's findings, because this is fantastic looking. And then something that that's a little weird, it's based off of where you're facing. So we're facing to the right, so no matter what, as long as we're on the right side, it'll keep spinning that way, I assume. Then when we turn to the left, it'll shift over. So you can just like make it move by shifting your mouse over, which is pretty neat. And then it's getting stuck. Oh no, help. Spin it better. Moon, save it. That's okay, we'll let it do it. Oh, we'll fix it up. Just kidding. It's stuck in the rock now. Well, that's okay. We'll just make some other ones. So something neat that you can do with this wand as well is you can spawn just one of these, and then if you wanted to make sure that the tentacle wasn't affecting anything, then you can just take off the tentacle, because like we said, we're just applying these tentacles to this spell now. Instead of the tentacle lasting longer, this is gonna last longer. And we can throw a chain bolt on there and do something like this. Oh, we need to get over here, and I think spawning it right here. So it's incredibly fun. And the tentacle actually grabbed that chain bolt. That's why it got flung that way. Because this tentacle over here was being cheeky and grabbed it. So let's actually make a few. We'll make one right here. And we'll make one right here. We'll make one right here. Sometimes when the tentacle flings them, they make even cooler patterns, but yeah. With pyrals, you can make it infinite, but since this increases the lifetime already, it makes it extremely complicated. So I do have a wand that I'll show off in the pyral video, but for now, that's what this one is. And we can't have a Nymphs video without a finale, so let's make that happen. Happy New Year, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, noon, and night. And for everyone curious on the builds, these are the two builds. Goodbye.